seriously, grab a drink, settle in, because this is wild. I mean, I mocked him for being a virgin, he lost it to my sister, and now they're married with twins. Can you even believe it? Like, seriously. You couldn't write this stuff. It all started, like, maybe 3 years ago? I'm Brenda, by the way. 28. And at the time, I was kind of bored with my job, you know? Just typing away, same old, same old. My boss was, like, always on my case about little things, and I just needed something to shake things up. That's when Leo showed up. He was new at the office, shuffled over from some other department. And from the moment I saw him, I just knew. He was just so beige. You know? Like, everything about him was just muted. His clothes were always kind of shapeless, his hair was always just there, like he didn't even try. And he had this way of, like, talking quietly, always looking at his shoes. Not exactly a head-turner, if you catch my drift. But I like to be nice, you know? I'm a friendly person. So I went up to him, introduced myself, did the whole welcome to the team thing. He barely looked at me. Just mumbled something and shuffled off. That was my first clue. Like, okay, weirdo alert. But I didn't think much of it. Until, like, a few weeks later. We were all out for happy hour after work, just a few of us from the team. And somehow, the conversation drifted to, like, relationships and stuff. Someone was talking about their crazy ex, and then it got to, like, first times and whatever. Just casual girl talk, you know? And Leo, he was just sitting there, nursing his soda. He never drank, which was another red flag. Who doesn't drink? Anyway, someone asked him, like, so, Leo, any wild stories from your past? And he just got really, really red. Like, from his neck all the way up to his ears. And he just mumbled, no. Not really. That was it. That was the moment. My friend, Clara, who has zero filter, leaned over and whispered, loud enough for, like, half the table to hear, he's totally a virgin, isn't he? And honestly, my first thought was just, duh. It was written all over him. The way he avoided eye contact, the way he got flustered just talking about anything remotely personal. I mean, I wasn't trying to be mean, but someone had to say it. It was just obvious. And a little funny, right? Like, in this day and age? It just felt quaint. And I might have, you know, giggled a little. Not at him, exactly, but at the absurdity of it all. It was just so, him. So Leo. After that, it became this thing. Not, like, openly, but in my head. Whenever he did something awkward, or just existed in his Leoness, I'd think, oh, there goes the virgin. It wasn't malicious, just an observation. I mean, it's not my fault he was that way. He just needed to, like, loosen up. Be a man. I probably should have seen this coming, honestly. He was so easy to read, like an open book. And that's not a compliment. Anyway, fast forward a bit. My sister, Chloe, was going through a rough patch. She'd just broken up with her latest boyfriend, some musician who thought he was going to be famous. Surprise, surprise, he wasn't. Chloe's always been the type to, like, fall for those artistic, sensitive types. Total pushover, honestly. She's sweet, too sweet for her own good. Always putting everyone else first. Not like me. I know what I want. So, Chloe was a mess. Crying on my couch, eating ice cream straight from the tub. And I, being the supportive big sister, was trying to cheer her up. I told her she needed to get out, meet someone new, someone normal for once. And then it clicked. I thought, hey, what about Leo? It was kind of a joke at first, honestly. I thought it would be funny. Like, here's this guy who's, like, never even held a girl's hand probably, and here's Chloe, who's, like, a total emotional wreck. Perfect match for a disaster date, right? It would give her something to laugh about later, and maybe he'd finally, get some experience. I was being helpful, really. So I invited him to a casual get-together at my place. Just me, Chloe, Clara, and a couple other friends. And I told Chloe, hey, I invited this guy from work, Leo. He's nice. You two should talk. I gave her the whole rundown, giggling as I told her about the virgin thing. She just looked at me with those big, innocent eyes and said, Brenda, that's mean. But I just waved it off. It's just an observation, Chloe. Besides, maybe you can help him out. You're so good at, making people feel comfortable. I was low-key being supportive, right? A little nudge for both of them. And honestly, when Leo showed up, he was even more awkward than usual. He brought, a small potted plant as a hostess gift. A plant. Who does that? I mean, come on. He sat in the corner, didn't talk much. And Chloe, being Chloe, went right over to him. She started asking him about his job, his hobbies, all that stuff. And to my surprise, he actually started talking. About, rare books or something. Something totally dorky. But Chloe was nodding along, actually listening. I rolled my eyes, seriously, Chloe? But she seemed into it. Or at least, she was being her usual overly polite self. Next thing I know, they're exchanging numbers. And then they're going on dates. I was, what? Really? I figured it'd be a one-time thing, a funny story. But no. Chloe would call me, all excited, telling me about their picnic in the park, or how he helped her fix her leaky faucet. And I'd just be like, oh. That's nice. What was so great about a guy who could fix a faucet? My ex-boyfriends always hired someone. Much simpler. I tried to subtly, warn her. Chloe, are you sure about this guy? He's a little different. And she'd just get defensive. Brenda, he's kind. He's smart. He's good to me. And I'm like, good to you? What does that even mean? He was probably just trying too hard. All those overly nice guys are just hiding something, Between us, I wanted to scream, he's just grateful you're even looking at him. But I held my tongue. Mostly. Then came the relationship talk. Chloe called me, all breathless, saying Leo had told her he loved her. And she loved him back. And I'm like, love? Really? So soon? It hadn't even been that long, maybe 6 months. And I said, are you sure you're not just, confusing gratitude with love, Chloe? He's probably just happy someone's finally, giving him the time of day. And she got mad. For the first time, she actually got mad at me. Brenda, why do you always have to be so negative? You don't even know him. And I'm like, I know him enough. I knew he was a virgin, for crying out loud. That told me everything I needed to know about his life experience. I mean, I just wanted her to be careful. I'm her big sister. It's my job to look out for her. But she just kept getting closer to him. And he started changing, actually. He got a new haircut. He started wearing shirts that actually fit him. He even bought, some new shoes that weren't beige. And he actually started talking more at work. He seemed happier. And I just kept thinking, she's going to ruin him. He's not going to be that quiet, awkward guy anymore. He's going to turn into, one of those overly confident guys who thinks they know everything. And it was all Chloe's doing. Then came the engagement. I remember getting the call. Chloe was practically shrieking into the phone. He proposed. Brenda, he proposed. And I just sat there, staring at my chipped nail polish. Oh. Wow. That's great. Are you sure, Chloe? Marriage is a big step, And she just went on and on about the ring, and how sweet he was, and how it happened. And I'm just like, whatever. Another thing Chloe gets that I don't. Not that I wanted Leo, obviously. But still. It just felt like she was always, like, one-upping me. Even when she wasn't trying. I went to their engagement party, obviously. Had to show face. And everyone was just, like, gushing about them. Oh, they're so perfect together. Chloe, you found a good one. And I'm just standing there, sipping my champagne, smiling. But inside, I'm thinking, perfect? Really? He's still that awkward guy underneath, you know. I just saw him acting normal because Chloe was, like, making him. It wasn't real. It was all for show. And Chloe, she was just basking in it. Like she always does. She's a total validation seeker, posting all these happy couple photos on Facebook, ignoring the fact that she was dating a complete dud just a few months ago. It's just so her. The wedding was just as nauseatingly perfect. Chloe looked amazing, of course. And Leo, he looked genuinely happy. Like, not just putting on a show. That annoyed me even more. It was like he was rubbing it in my face. And I heard people whispering, like, Brenda's still single, isn't she? And I just had to, like, force myself to smile and say, oh, I'm just waiting for the right one, you know? Not rushing into anything. But inside, I was like, you think you're so smart, don't you? I just didn't want to settle for some beige guy who needed my sister to teach him how to, like, interact with the world. And then, not even a year later, the news. Chloe was pregnant. And then, a few months after that, it's twins. Oh, joy. Double the happiness, double the babies. It was like the universe was just, like, screaming at me. First, he loses his virginity to my sister. Then he marries her. Now they're having twins. It was just one thing after another. And every time I saw them, they just seemed so ridiculously content. Like they had it all figured out. And I'm still out here, trying to figure out if the guy I'm seeing is actually going to text me back. It just wasn't fair. I'd go over to their place, and it was just, like, baby stuff everywhere. Diapers, bottles, little tiny clothes. And Chloe would be all tired, but happy. And Leo would be, like, helping out, changing diapers, burping babies. It was, like, gross. And he looked at her with so much adoration. It was sickening. And I'd just sit there, sipping my coffee, nodding along, but inside I'm just thinking, you deserve better, Chloe. You really do. This guy, he's just. Leo. I mean, how could he possibly be enough for her? She deserved someone exciting, someone with a real spark. Not a beige bookworm who got lucky with her. My own life, meanwhile, was a bit of a roller coaster. I was dating a lot, but nothing really stuck. I always seemed to pick the wrong ones. Or maybe they picked me. I don't know. There was Mark, who was always out with his friends, never wanting to spend time with me. And I'd try to explain, you're being dramatic, Mark, it's not that serious. But he just didn't get it. And then there was Kevin, who was always, like, asking me where I was going, what I was doing. So annoying. And then I'd get defensive, it's none of your business. He just couldn't handle, like, a strong woman. And with Brian, I expected him to pay for everything, you know? That's what boyfriends do. But he was always, like, talking about splitting bills. So cheap. My money was my money. And he just couldn't understand that. I tried to keep up appearances, obviously. Posted a lot of smiling selfies on Facebook, pictures of me out with friends, having fun. But it always felt a little hollow. Especially when Chloe would post another picture of her perfect little family, Leo holding one twin, her holding the other. And all the comments would be like, "Aw, family goals. So sweet." It just drove me nuts. Why did they get all the happiness? I was the one who was, like, always trying to help people, always being nice. It got worse. I started, like, subtle digs. Whenever I talked to Chloe, I'd be like, oh, Leo still, like, fixing things around the house? That's nice. My ex, he was never good with his hands. I guess you just have to settle for practicality, huh? Or I'd ask her, so, has Leo, like, developed any hobbies besides, reading books? Maybe he could join a gym. Get a little more, oomph. And Chloe would just give me this tight smile. She never really said anything, but I could tell she was getting tired of it. But it wasn't my fault. I was just giving my honest opinion. I was just concerned. One time I was over at their place, and Leo was trying to tell me about some new project he was working on at his job. And I just zoned out. Like, literally. It was so boring. And then I interrupted him, oh, speaking of work, remember when you first started? You were so quiet. Like a mouse. Chloe really brought you out of your shell, didn't she? It's amazing what a good woman can do for a man. And Chloe just put her hand on Leo's arm, and her eyes were, like, burning. Brenda, that's enough. And I was like, what? I'm just saying. It wasn't a lie. He was quiet. I was just acknowledging it. Then came the big family Christmas party. My parents were there, Chloe's in-laws, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone. It was packed. And Chloe and Leo were, like, showing off their twins. Everyone was gathered around, making goo-goo eyes at the babies. And I felt, like, totally invisible. No one was paying attention to me. And I just had this sudden, like, panic thought. It all just clicked. They were having this perfect life, and I was just, there. Standing on the sidelines. And I just, snapped a little. Not, like, full-on yelling, but you know how sometimes you just have to say something? So I walked over, right when Leo was talking about how he and Chloe first met. And he was saying, yeah, Brenda actually introduced us. And I just blurted out, yeah, I did. I told Chloe she needed to, like, get out there and meet someone. And I thought, hey, Leo's available. He's, like, completely harmless. I mean, he was a total virgin back then, Needed a little help in that department. The room went silent. Like, dead silent. Everyone just stared at me. My parents looked horrified. Chloe's face turned bright red, and then white. And Leo, his face just kind of froze. Like a statue. You could just feel the air get thick. I probably should have seen this coming. But in that split second, I just thought it was funny. A little throwback to how it all began. Just a casual, gossipy thing to say, right? Like, between friends, you'd totally say that. Then Chloe, in this really quiet voice, said, Brenda, what are you doing? And I was like, what? I'm just telling the story. It's funny, right? And Leo just stood up. He didn't say a word. He just picked up one of the twins, and Chloe picked up the other, and they just walked out. Right out of the party. Without saying goodbye to anyone. And everyone was just staring at me. My mom came over, grabbed my arm, Brenda, what was that? That was completely inappropriate. And I just stared back, what? I didn't say anything bad. I was just being honest. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. The party just kind of deflated after that. People started making excuses to leave. No one looked at me the same way. It was like I had, like, a giant neon sign over my head that said toxic. My parents were furious. They tried to make me apologize to Chloe and Leo, but I was like, apologize for what? For telling the truth? They're being dramatic. I mean, it's not my fault they can't take a joke. Things went downhill fast after that. Chloe stopped calling. She wouldn't answer my texts. My parents were always on my case, you need to fix this, Brenda. Your sister is heartbroken. Heartbroken? Because I stated a fact? Please. They always take her side. Always. At work, things started getting weird too. People whispered. Leo started, actively avoiding me. If I walked into a room, he'd walk out. And then my boss called me into his office. Brenda, we've had some complaints about your conduct. Conduct? I just did my job. It seems there's been some unprofessional behavior, some inappropriate comments about colleagues. And I just stared at him. Me? Unprofessional? Never. I'm always polite. But he just shook his head. We're going to have to let you go. Just like that. No job. And I'm like, are you kidding me? All because of some stupid thing I said at a Christmas party? It was insane. It wasn't fair. This was all Leo's fault. If he hadn't been so, sensitive about his past, none of this would have happened. And Chloe, being all dramatic and running out of the party like that. They ruined my reputation. My friends slowly started drifting away too. Clara stopped inviting me out. When I called her, she was always busy. And when I finally cornered her, she was like, Brenda, you really hurt Chloe. And Leo. It was a really messed up thing to say. And I just laughed. Messed up? Clara, come on. It's not that big of a deal. You know I was just kidding around. But she just stared at me. No, Brenda. You weren't. You've always been like this. Always putting people down. And then she just walked away. Just like that. So, here I am. No job, no friends, my family barely talks to me. And Chloe and Leo? They're still out there, living their perfect little life with their perfect little twins. I see their pictures on Facebook sometimes, if I accidentally scroll past. They look so happy. It makes me sick. And it's all because they, blew one little comment way out of proportion. They just wanted to make me look bad. They always did. They were always jealous of me, of how I spoke my mind, of how I lived my life. I don't regret what I said. I just regret how everyone reacted. It's not my fault they can't handle the truth. It's not my fault Leo was, such a fragile little thing, and Chloe was always so dramatic. They made their choices. I made mine. And honestly, I'm better off without them. Who needs that drama? Not me. I'm strong. I'll figure it out. It's just, it's annoying. That they got off so easy, and I'm the one who had to deal with all this mess. But whatever. I don't care anymore. Good riddance, honestly. It was never meant to be with people like that. They'll probably realize it eventually, anyway. When the shiny newness wears off, they'll see what they really got. And then they'll regret it. Just watch.